The grand arena of Zeltha Prime pulsed with tension. Built into the crystalline caverns beneath the floating capital, its obsidian stands shimmered with the light of 1,000 alien bioluminescent species. Warriors from across the galaxy gathered for the once-in-a-cycle trials of Dominion, a contest of strength, strategy, and honor. At the heart of the pit stood Verexikol, heir to the glorious Fong matriarchate, armored in ceremonial carapace plating and crowned with a shock of scarlet sensory spines. Her species, the Zarkari, were feared throughout known space. Tall, agile, brutal in battle, and even more so in ritual. She had just defeated her fourth challenger. Her breathing was calm, predatory eyes scanning the crowd above the arena. The crowd, a riot of species and castes, roared in a cacophony of hisses, growls, and clicks. Yet Verex's gaze locked on something entirely foreign. Human. He stood amidst the diplomatic tier, flanked by diplomats and bureaucrats. His clothes were modest, worn, a black flight jacket draped over standard colony fatigues. His eyes met hers, steady, unreadable. And then he smirked. That slight curl of his lip ignited something in her blood. It wasn't mockery, nor was it awe. It was challenge. Unfiltered, unspoken, unmistakable. He saw her not as a spectacle, nor as royalty, but as a warrior. The crowd quieted as they noticed where she stared. Whispers spread. The blood-flecked dust of the arena seemed to still. Verex's voice rang out, amplified by the arena's psychic conduits. "Why did you look at me like that, human?" The crowd froze. The human blinked once. Then he tilted his head and responded, calm, not arrogant. "Because I've seen storms less fierce than you. And I've stood in them." Gasps erupted. A murmur surged like a wave. An insult. Compliment. Both. To the Zarkari, such a statement, metaphor entangled in challenge, could mean only one thing. Dual. Middle. His name was Darius Rook. Former colonial engineer, cargo hauler, and, according to interstellar records, a survivor of the Zenthari scourging of Null 5. It was said he'd walked across the burning sands with shattered ribs to drag 4 children to safety. But here none of that mattered. What mattered was that he had accepted her gaze and responded in kind. By Zarkari tradition, to exchange such words under a warrior's challenge was to invite ritual combat. Not to the death, but to dominance. And something more dangerous. To respect. "You do not have to do this," Ambassador Lural hissed beside him. The Zenthari official wore an anxious glint in her triple eyes. "She is Zarkari. You're human. They will shred you like meat in a grinder." "Maybe," Darius muttered, eyes still on the arena. "But what happens if I back down?" Lural fell silent. Because she knew. Earth's admission into the Galactic Compact was teetering. Humans were respected as traders, thinkers, scientists. But not yet as warriors. Not yet as equals. This duel, this accidental moment could tip that scale. A hover platform descended. Zarkari ritual guards stood motionless, waiting for his decision. Darius sighed. "Tell my sister I owe her a drink if I die." He stepped onto the platform. The arena howled. Verexa paced inside the dueling circle, eyes narrowed. Her people hissed prayers to the gods of bone and fire. Yet beneath the reverence, curiosity churned. The human descended calmly, with no armor, no weapons. Just boots and confidence. "How do you wish to die?" she asked formally, extending twin blades from her forearms. "I'd prefer not to," he said. "But if I lose, let's say I get knocked out with dignity." She cocked her head, baring sharp teeth. "You're strange." "So I've been told." With a thunderous clang, the dueling shield sealed them inside. The duel began with speed. Virexa lunged, slicing through air with dizzying precision. Darius ducked, rolled, slid beneath her, dodging the razor-edged kicks with uncanny reflexes. The crowd roared as he evaded again and again. He couldn't win with strength. But humans, unlike most species, were improvisers. She struck, and he parried with a broken polearm shaft. She hissed, twisting in midair, but he anticipated her angle and tackled her into the sand. The crowd shrieked. A human tackled a Zarkari princess. They rolled, sand and blood mingling, until she pinned him beneath her with a snarl. Her blade was at his throat. He stared into her eyes, breathing hard. "Now you see," she hissed, pressing it slightly. "You're magnificent," he whispered. Something in her grip faltered. She had expected defiance, arrogance, but not admiration. He took advantage, flipping her with raw momentum, pinning her shoulders briefly. Enough to score a symbolic point, enough for the right. The gong sounded. They were both on their knees, panting. The crowd was silent. Then Virexa rose, strode forward, and extended her hand, not in conquest but recognition. The crowd erupted. Ending. That night, a banquet was held in the Crystal Hall. Ambassadors toasted. Flags of alliance were hoisted. Humanity's image, once fragile in the eyes of the galaxy, was forever changed. But Darius sat quietly at the edge of it all, chewing grilled synth meat and nursing bruised ribs. "You do realize," Virexa said beside him, suddenly looming at his table, "that you now owe me something." He blinked. "I do. You challenged me, matched me, brought honor to your name. By Zarkari custom, that means we are bonded." His fork froze halfway to his mouth. "Bonded." She leaned in, eyes fierce but not unkind. "Not mated. Not yet. But I may decide it. One day." He raised a brow. "Do I get a say?" "You already said it. In the way you looked at me." She left him with that cryptic sentence. Weeks passed. The duel became legend. Young Zarkari warriors studied the footage for clues to human cunning. Compact Council members quoted Darius's words as the turning point of Earth's rise. He tried to return to a quiet life, back to terraforming projects and star freighter repairs. But Virexa visited often. Sometimes she brought food. Other times, battle strategies she wanted his human perspective on. Once, she arrived with a broken power core and a vague accident excuse. One evening, they stood atop a canyon on Earth's moon colony, watching the stars. "You still look at me like that," she said softly. "Like what?" "Like I'm a storm." He smiled. "You still are. And you still stand in it." He took her clawed hand in his. "And I will," he said, "as long as the storm wants me around." Closing line. And somewhere in the depths of the galaxy, 1,000 species began to reconsider the quiet power behind a human's gaze, and the kind of challenge it could awaken.